if there's any episode of this show irrelevant to talk about my favorite shows and why, I mean, we talked about it before, but I'm a huge fan of something that makes me want to come back week to week. And I guess that's really any show, but Lost is my number one, which we've talked about for the longest time. And a lot of people think Lost sucks because of the ending, but I think the ending's a masterpiece. Out of any pilot of any TV show, it's the best pilot ever, in my opinion. It's literally called Pilot, and there's a pilot in the pilot. It's great. It's the best pilot of any show, in my opinion.
This guy's out here rating pilots.
It's just, no, seriously.
This pilot beats every other pilot because the show has a pilot in it. So for that reason, it's unarguable.
Well, no, like the pilot is just, when it came out on TV, and I watched it later, obviously. I watched it much later because 2004, I was really young, right? But I watched it in high school. But when you watch that show, Lost is my favorite because that show is essentially, it's a very simple concept. It is people are on a plane. They're coming back from a trip. Most of them are coming back and not going. So that's something interesting too. But they're coming back from Australia to LAX. The plane crashes on an island. That pilot episode of just seeing it happen and seeing that initial, oh my God, we're on it. Like we're lost, right? Like this is happening and this is real. And all these characters. And the thing is, the show is not called Lost because they're lost on island. It's actually called Lost because every one of those characters is like deeply, deeply, like every one of them has a very deep backstory of some like crap that went down. Like every single one of them is, and it's not really a spoiler. It's just how the show works. Every single one of them has a mystery to them and oh, wait, it might be this guy was in Australia because he was on some secret mission, or something like that. Or this guy was in Australia because he needed to go see his dad that he had a lot of drama with in the past, right? Or anything like that. And the way the show works is essentially it's all these people that are lost on an island. They're trying to survive. And half the episodes are them surviving, and half of the episode, like one episode, is them surviving on the island, discovering new things. And the other half is flashbacks about
learning their backstories.
Maybe days before the flight, maybe years before the flight, could be anything. And it usually parallels really well with what's going on.
Right.
So maybe there's an episode where they're having to make a decision that's really, really tough. Like a life or death decision. And the main character is named Jack, and he's a surgeon. So it might have like a flashback to when he had this really, really deep decision he had to make in surgery, or when he was performing something that, hours and hours of surgery that was insane. And then it like parallels to something that's going on. But it's more deep than that, honestly. It's a lot of really like life questions. But the island itself is weird, and it's not just an island of nothing there. There's weird stuff, like weird stuff. It's very sci-fi and supernatural both. It blends the two a lot. And I just love it because every episode, it keeps you on your feet of, oh my gosh, I want them to go further into the island because there's definitely something there. Like there's something going on here that we don't understand. And like who are these people? Like, why are they there? Like, the people on the flight, like, why are they there? Is there more of a destiny to it all? Like all that kind of stuff is really cool. And the show is very much, sorry, I could rant about the show forever, but
I know.
That's why we're here.
You're good.
But the show is very much about, it's people coming together that are very different, because it's a flight, right? It's always different backgrounds. And it had a very good representation of different cultures for the time. 2004.
Yeah.
You didn't see that too much where, there's literally two characters in the show who speak Korean, and they can't even talk with the characters.
Yeah.
Like they're like, do y'all need water? And they cannot. It's hard. It's like they have to work together, even though they're all from different backgrounds and stuff. And I thought that was amazing to it for the time. And the show is really about, though, at its core, it's like, what do you believe in? Do you believe in more science, or do you believe in faith? And why? And what if that's questioned a little bit? And that's the thing that gets me going, because I love thinking about that stuff. Like, is something destiny, or is it just this really, really weird coincidence?
Yeah.
like were they meant to crash there? Were they not meant to crash there? Or like did, you might see something in the distance. It's like, was that just my mind playing a trick on me, or was that something actually happening? Because I'm or like maybe I'm dehydrated and I'm seeing things, or maybe not. Like it's a lot of things like that. And you're watching it, you're like, oh God, I don't know what the answer is.
Think a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And that progression of seeing like those characters like in that zone, like it's perfect, man. It's such a good, it's not even really about the survival. It's about them sort of figuring out what they believe in. It's literally just about like what they believe in and like how they're going to, they just progress a lot as characters. It's really cool.
How many times have you seen it?
6 times all the way through.
6.
There's 6 seasons.
When you watched it, I mean, any of the times, do you find yourself binging it, or is it like how do you consume your favorite show? Essentially,
it's changed a lot for me when I watch it now, but originally I binged it a lot.
When you say binge, what are you talking about?
Like 4 or 5 episodes at a time.
And they're an hour each?
44 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So you pull them like 3-4 hours sometimes.
Yeah. When I first was watching it was insane like that.
Was that every day or like every couple days or?
I think when I was first watching it, it was like every day. I was so hooked because I was very, I mean, originally it was directed by J.J. Abrams, right?
Okay.
And he has this whole thing, and you'd appreciate this. He has this mystery box concept. He literally calls it the mystery box concept, where his whole thing is, I want to keep giving you things that like make you wonder and question. And that's like how every episode in that show operates. You're like, oh, this question's really, really intriguing. And then you get to another episode and it's like, oh, we have solved that question maybe, but now here's another question. It just keeps going and you're like, oh my God, I want to know more. I just want to know more about what's going on in this island and everything. But I watched it pretty heavily at the beginning, but
how many seasons are there?
6. There's 6, but I highly recommend not binging it though, because when it was made, it was in a time where you couldn't do it. You couldn't binge it.
It was a week-to-week thing.
It was a week-to-week thing. And also when you finish the season, it was a long, long time till the next one.
Right.
And like I told Em, like I really want to watch it with Em because it's really, it's a show I really want to show her at some point. And I was just telling her, I'm like, yeah, if we like finish season 1, we're going to wait a little bit because it's just
interesting.
Weird. It's weird to watch it like back to back because it wasn't made with that in mind. That being said, I think it also, some of like there's some like slower parts here or there, and it does help if you do binge it, but you kind of just have to know what I almost wish I could put like a guide of like, okay, binge these episodes, then you can be slower here, then binge these because they're kind of more like fluff.
The reason I asked that is because I really think when you're watching some shows, especially like long ones that have seasons and seasons, especially if they intertwine from season to season, like if there's something that happens in season 2 that really matters in 4 or 5.
And Lost is like that, yeah.
Which I figure a great show usually is.
Yeah.
When you don't watch them within a certain amount of time consistently, I think a lot of those intertwining parts get forgotten or not. Oh, like you don't connect them.
If you just like come back to after a long time.
Yeah, like if you watch season 1 and then wait a year and then watch season 2, you very likely may not remember important parts. The reason I say that is because my favorite show, can you even guess what it is?
Breaking Bad.
It's Game of Thrones.
Oh, I was close.
Breaking Bad I have it at 9.3. Game of Thrones, I have a 9.8 only because of season 8. Otherwise, I would have gave it a 10. Yeah. That show, I'm not proud to say this, but when I say binge, it's a little bit different than a 3. I watched that show. It's got 7 or 8 seasons, right?
Yeah. Longer too.
I believe. Yeah, I believe. It took me 2 weeks to watch 8 seasons. It was an average of 7 hours a day.
Holy crap!
For 2 weeks straight.
How, bro?
I did that twice. That's binging. 7 hours a day. That's a full-time job. I watched 50 hours a week of this show. Basically, more or less.
How did you have the time to do that?
Dude, I literally do all my stuff during the day at at 9 p.m. I turn it on and I could not turn it off. I would be up to like 4 a.m. every night watching this thing. Straight up. And then I would get up and do it all again.
Wow.
But it wasn't because I chose. I literally could not stop watching this shit, dude, because it's that good. It's that good.
It was really good.
But the point I wanted to make is that if I watched that like everyone else did, I didn't watch it when it first came out. I only watched
think
it.
You might have stopped.
No, I don't know about that, but I think you pick up so much.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many like that and Breaking Bad both I think have done a phenomenal, like the story is so intertwined throughout the whole every season. Like I'm very sure that they wrote a lot of it before they even recorded the first one because they had to have this like connectivity between the shows, between the seasons.
I don't think I will say I don't think you would like Lost as much as Game of Thrones.
Maybe not, but that doesn't mean I want to watch it.
But you would find the themes really cool.
Oh, I think I gotta watch Lost. I'm gonna put it down on my list.
You gotta watch it at some point.
I gotta give it.
It's also a classic that I think a lot of people.
And I think I gotta give it a rating compared to these other ones. See where it fits in.
But it also Lost kind of changed TV when it came out. That's the other thing. Like 2004, and it was Lost coming out now would be a phenomenon, bro. It would be. Can you imagine every week? We find out more about like where the hell these people are and where like it came out in a very, very different time. And I think it would have been even bigger if it came out now because like in the same way that like, people are watching like Mandalorian and stuff right now.
Yeah.
And they're watching like week by week.
Yeah.
And there's that hype of like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? That was Lost back then, but you didn't have the YouTube videos and you did a little bit
social.
But you didn't have the social media stuff where people were really talking about what's going on. You didn't have that, and I think it's like a testament how awesome Lost was that it went on that long, and people were so hardcore about it. You can find like some old like threads about stuff like on different websites where people are like talking or like even like there's one scene. This is not a spoiler, but there's one scene where this map appears like where. It's sort of like a thing you have to pause the screen to really look at it. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking when I was watching it, I was like, how do people theorize about the show? How do they take a picture? Like, how do they pause the freaking screen to even see this? Like, you had to catch it. You had to be like, oh, all right, boom, that's it. Nowadays, I'm just like, all right, pause. Let me look at this.
Yeah. Or you can go and look it up online on YouTube or
look up the wiki
or like a wiki, like a theory page.
Yeah. And it's so weird to think about, but I genuinely think, and at the time it was very much like the ensemble cast, a bunch of people from different backgrounds. Like it was one of the first shows I think that really did that super, super well and really brought in this sort of new age of like, there's all these story threads from all these different characters and they're all, it's all like linking somewhere. Like a lot of shows work the same way that Lost did. Like I notice it and it's just really weird. Like I watched Lost, I'm like, oh, here's the flashback bit. Here's the character. Like they're kind of like each episode's kind of character oriented. It's not just, oh, the whole group. There's some episodes maybe like that, but typically even the finales, even the season premieres, they're all about one character at the core. And it can range from Jack, the main character, or 10 different other ones, honestly.
Yeah.
And even more, honestly.
I gotta watch it.
It's just great.
You've spoken highly about it. You would get a tattoo of it. So
I would get a tattoo of the numbers.
I think it would be something that I should invest my time into.
But you might not like the ending. No spoilers.
But based on what you've said, I think I have a guess for the ending, but I'm not going to say anything until I watch it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Have you seen Stranger Things?
I have. I haven't seen season 3. Oh. I've heard it's the best though.
Easily the best.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I haven't seen it for some reason. I love that genre a lot. It's very like
it jumped ahead of The Office for me because of season 3. Season 3 was that good.
Where is it on your list?
Number 3.
Wow.
So I have it: Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Stranger Things.
I like that you said Breaking Bad. I've seen all of Breaking Bad. I would put Breaking Bad on my top 5.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what would you say is your top 5?
Lost is number 1. I would say Breaking Bad might be number like 3 or 4.
Okay.
This
is why I wrote it down.
It's really hard. It sounds crazy, but my top ones, I think, are all Damon Lindelof written shows.
This was a great episode. I had a lot of fun talking about.
I can talk about TV.
Oh, anytime. I know you could talk about them. We could talk about this all day.
You could take any one of these TV shows that we talked about and we could talk about the entire time. Yeah.
And I think you guys are definitely going to hit that up in the comments. So leave your favorite show, leave your worst show, thoughts about the shows we talked about, and See you guys all next week.